Welcome into the live stream here for McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. I'm Neal. That's Tyler here on this Thursday afternoon.
What it is.
There is rain on the way. I don't need a radar to tell me.
Head's hurting.
Head's hurting. Head feels swollen. The rain is on its way.
Yeah, I forgot to send out a tweet. I just hit it. I was brains in other places.
I understand.
So I got Austin Turner's our CTO, our IT guy.
Yep.
He's at my house installing a missile silo computer and moving all the information from one computer to the other. So I got a new computer. He's over there and he's like texting me, hey, I need this code. It's sent to your phone. So if you see me distracted over here.
Quick, you moving into the 21st century and going remote?
We are doing the remote thing, man. Only makes sense. I'm the one that has to adjust. We're doing a little hybrid this month, though. We're going like
your adjustment will be stopping working. You'll have to. What you realize when you're at home and it's in front of you is that it's super easy to never stop.
I've already screwed that up. I found myself doing paperwork at 9:30 last night.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to figure that out. In
football season, I'll wake up at 2:30, 3 in the morning and think, God, I probably ought to go work on something. And I'll get up and come up here and start working. And I'm last year I was better about it, but I still did it sometimes.
Yeah,
it's a really bad habit. People who work from home, the ones who find that happy medium, they're the ones that do really, really well with it. There are two types of people: the people that aren't self-starters, they struggle bad. And then the people who are self-starters, people like you and me,
can't turn it off.
You'll work around the clock if you're not careful. You'll work your day away.
My biggest thing is the communication. I'm old school. I don't like to text. I like to talk. And so we've got all that figured out through some communication systems. But it only makes sense. I'm having it's very difficult as our company grows to ask people, especially of that age, to move to Oxford, Mississippi. So there's so many qualified candidates when as we grow as a company, there's qualified candidates that I can't get that would take the job and would do a great job. I can't get because of that. So it's just part of it, man. We're growing, and so it's a good growing pain. I'm the one that's got to adjust.
Grinds in the thread. He says Neal's starting to get those old man triggers. I am getting some old man stuff, but this is not an old man thing. When I was 16, I had a baseball accident. Left side of my face, had to have surgery, and that's where there's a front moving through. The left side of my face tips me off. Right in here. I start getting this little pain and it shoots right through here, and I'm like, oh, here comes the rain.
If mama wakes up with a headache, it's time. It's coming through. She woke up this morning with a headache, so she was talking all kinds of crazy shit this morning. So you ready to roll, Big Daddy?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, pull up the correct file. Tupelo wants to know if this is the most exciting offseason I've covered around the Ole Miss program. Yeah, I guess so. Kind of reminds me of I was covering Auburn in 2002. That the year they were super hyped, and they kind of busted. They came out of the gate. They lost 2 in a row. Then they ended up going undefeated 2 years later. Or maybe it was, I don't know, 03, 02. Whatever year it was that they were supposed to be so good. Maybe that was 03.
I don't remember.
They came out of the gate. Yeah, it was 03. They came out of the gate. They lost to USC at home. Went to Atlanta, lost to Georgia Tech. That was the year they lost to Ole Miss and then lost to Georgia. So ended up having 4 losses. And then the next season, 04, they went undefeated.
Yeah, I can't.
So it reminds me of that a little bit. I don't know.
The one year, I know you're talking about the year they lost. They opened the season, lost to USC at home or something.
Yeah.
They were like on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Yeah, they were like number 2 in the country.
Yeah. That
was a pretty talented SC team.
When Sports Illustrated, there was like a magazine and thing, and that was a thing back then.
Oh yeah, big time, big time. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, the people are excited. I find some of the. I get it's football year round. Some of the college people who are team specific who produce hype year round. I think it's overdone. Because they never present, hey, this is a potential pitfall. This is a problem.
No.
And so, if something goes
snow clouds and bunny rabbits.
Yeah, so if something goes wrong in week 6, it's you guys said. And I'm like, well, no, I mean, I'm going to make sure that I present the, hey, here's how it could go wrong kind of thing too. So, all right, we'll get ready to roll.
Yeah, I need some rain today and a dip. Get your readers up.
I still didn't pull up the right one. Let's see. Hold on. Had basketball content in front of my face there from last night's game. All right, here we go.
Let's do it.
Welcome into another edition of McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. I'm Neal McCready. That is Tyler Siskey here on this Thursday, February the 22nd. Hope you're having a good week as we get closer and closer to the end of it. Basketball going on. We'll talk about a number of things today on the show. Eli Gold out as the voice at Alabama.
Sad day, man. Sad day for your boy. We'll talk about it.
Okay. Yeah, there's some other stuff going on. Playoff format approved for now. So yeah, some stuff. So we'll talk about that in a minute. First, I want to tell you that we're brought to you by Rain Total Body Fuel. 300 milligrams natural caffeine, BCAAs, electrolytes, zero sugar. It's got what you need to push the limits and achieve your goals. Check them out on Instagram at Rain Body Fuel to learn more. Big shout out to my guy, Bob Brucato. Needed a little, I had a little favor to ask, and he delivered in a big way. So I scored some points in the house.
Dude, you're like dad of the decade right now.
And I think he was pretty impressed. He's like, whoa.
Let me tell you what. There is not a finer human being. I have to wait. I meant to ask him yesterday, and he's out of town. Man, I was going to make an announcement for Bob, but I got to make sure I can get that approved first before I can do it. Bob's the best.
He is.
He's a stud.
You're referring to some of the news we talked about earlier?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Excited for him, but we'll make an announcement when I know we can make an announcement.
100%.
But he's the best. He's been with us. He's been on the show a couple times live.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
He went out to Boise with us. He came here in studio one time last fall when he's coming through town. So travels a lot. He's on the road doing a presentation to the whole company yesterday, and I can't remember what city he was in. He's world traveler, or he's United States traveler.
Yeah, he's gonna be traveling
more,
a little bit more to a couple of new places.
Yeah, he's a stud.
Yep.
Love Bob. All right, Neal, I'm rocking with the best early afternoon. Like I don't know, man. Something about this. It's like yesterday when you go outside at nighttime and the wind's blowing from the south and it's like 60 degrees and you're like, man, spring is in the air.
It was very pleasant yesterday.
Dude, this Kiwi blend lets me know that spring is right around the corner. I love it. I'm a big Kiwi blend fan. But Neal, the Cooper Chevrolet chat is already bumping. It is hot today. And remind everybody from CarBravoAlabama.com. That's CarBravoAlabama.com. With interest rates and owner benefits like this, why would you buy a used vehicle anywhere else? They have Chevys, Buicks, Toyotas, GMCs, Fords, Nissans, Jeeps, and more. Call 256-236-4481. That's 256-236-4481. And tell them your friends at McCready and Siskey sent you, and they will take extra special care of you. All right, Neal. We'll go ahead. I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off. I know you got a take about it, a different take probably than I have.
I do.
And I yesterday
I know more about it than I
probably should know,
and so I have to sort of
protect what you say.
Bite my tongue a little here.
Okay. Well, here's the deal. As I grew up, for those that don't know, this is going to shock you. I grew up in a split household. Mom, big Auburn fan. Dad, Alabama fan. So we didn't have the ESPN app. We didn't have the ESPN TV deals, CB, all that stuff. You got one or two games a week would be on TV. And if you wasn't on CBS or you wasn't on the ESPN primetime game or the JP, don't forget the Jefferson Pilot game of the week, there were a lot of games that were not on TV. With that being said, you had to listen to the radio to listen to the ball games. I know everybody that's younger than me is probably looking at me like I got dicks coming out my ears, but I don't. You had to listen to the radio.
No, you don't, thank God.
Yeah, I don't. I look good.
Okay. I would run.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so
I would view that as a sign, and I would leave.
It's time.
Yeah.
I
would say that's it for this show.
That's it. But Eli Gold was kind of like, even though I was an Auburn fan growing up, that's like a voice that, I don't know, man. It was kind of like part of my childhood, I guess. I guess he started in like 87, I think, or something like that. 87, 88, somewhere in there, I think he started. So, I mean, I'm what, 10 years old when the guy starts. And later on in life, once I get to work at Alabama and start coaching Alabama, I meet Eli. It was really cool. And he's just an extremely nice, humble person. Really enjoyed visiting with him. Pregame, like I would always see him pregame. He would come to the locker room and he would want to go in. He had to go in our setup and recruiting setup. Once we got to the stadium in Alabama, Coach Saban would be in his private office kind of area in the locker room. And so Eli would come to get comments, for the radio before the game. Well, we would have recruits running there nonstop. And he's on a timeline too now. And so he would come in and I would fit him in between the recruits going in there. But he was never like, hey, he wasn't pushy. He was like, hey, you do, we'll get it handled. You just, he was just very gracious, extremely nice person. And I got to visit with him while Coach was talking to recruits just about every week. And so anyway, yesterday it came out initially that he stepped down or whatever it was. And then he wanted the record to be shown that he did not step down. He got shown the door.
Yes. His contract was not renewed, to be specific. I mean, it's not a firing. It's kind of a firing, but it's not a firing. His contract goes through June, and Alabama informed him that they would honor the contract through June, but that they were moving in a different direction.
I got mixed emotions on this, I guess, and I'll let you take it off after this. But for me, I think he's a legend. I don't think he slipped at all. I think he's kind of iconic. I think guys like that should, especially in that area, should go. I mean, a guy that's been there 35 years, whatever it is, should kind of choose when the ending needs to be. Now, you start slipping and all that stuff, now we got to have a different conversation. And I like Chris a lot. I think he's great. Chris Stewart, like him. I think he does a great job. And he's had to do a lot in the last few years because Eli's health issues. But I don't know, man. That one for me kind of felt weird. I didn't like the way that was handled.
Yeah. So look, full disclosure, I'm pretty good friends with Chris. We go way back when I was in Birmingham and I was kind of getting started a little bit there. Before really I got the job at the Birmingham Post-Herald, I was doing, and even once I got it, I was doing some radio. I can't even remember what the name of the station was. I mean, we were pups, He had a show in the afternoons, and I would do it with him quite often. I got some exposure to it via him, made some extra money thanks to him. He sometimes did WNSP with me because my deal at WNSP, they would hire somebody from middle of nowhere. He would come in. A year later, it was a disaster. They'd fire him. Then I would take over the show for like 9 months. The show would do really, really well, but because I wasn't a full-time employee of WNSP, they had to go get another full-time employee, and they bring some cat in from New Jersey. It'd be a disaster. And so we'd go through these things, and one of the times the fill-in in the gap was Stewart, and it was fun. You know, and I like Chris a lot. You knew Chris was probably on his way to
Did you change the show name every 9 months, or did it go back?
No, it was always just Sports Drive with the new dude who won't be here very long, and me. And I would be the guy that was they would kick me over to hey, you're the color guy, And then after a couple months, hey, can you kind of drive the ship again? Yeah, sure. Why not? And after a while, they're like, why don't you like that new guy? I'm like, what is the incentive for me to like him? I mean, you're going to fire him in 2 weeks. God almighty, bunch of idiots.
WNSP. It's great.
Called the Singular Wireless Star 105. Talking football.
Is my guy Lee Shervanian still on the thing?
He's still there.
He's still there.
Let's get that Spring Hill volleyball update here on this Tuesday morning.
I love me some Lee, man. That dude, he was ruthless to get you on the show.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And he would hem you up like talking about hemming you up with questions.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking about, he'd be like, hey, can we get you? I mean, just dying to get you on the show or whatever, and I'd be like, yeah, I can do it. And instead of normally, like when we get guests on, I'm like, hey, here's our window. What time works best for you? And if it's somebody else, you and I will go tape it, and then put it, whatever. he'll be like, "Hey, can you?" I said, "Like, yeah, I can do it." "Hey, can you do 5:45 a.m.?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, I know.
I was like, "No."
He'll still call me during football season, and I'm always like, Lee, have you run this by the people at WNSP?
Yeah. Lee, don't get yourself
Yeah,
fired.
I mean, because I'm gone. I'd hate for me to be the reason that you get fired.
Don't get yourself fired.
Yeah.
I love Lee, man. So he would be, when I was coaching high school ball, he would do it. You know, they did I think you did them too at some point in time, the WNSP game of the week.
Oh yeah.
And so when we were making that run, I guess that was 2007. We were making a run. They were, broadcasting from our press box every week, and he would always try to get me. And I can't make this up. I can't make this up. It's just somebody trying to grab you at inopportune times. We're at Legion Field. We win the state championship game on a blocked extra point. Okay, that's how we won the state championship. I am elated. Obviously, I'm in the box. I'm elated. And as I step out of the box to go down, to run down get on the elevator, run down to go celebrate with my team, Lee Cervanian is waiting outside trying to get me to come in and do a interview live on the air.
No,
I'm like, Lee,
man.
come on, dog. Come on, let me go, dog. But no, I love Lee. He's a good dude.
But I've known Chris for a long time. I know this was his dream. He's done Alabama baseball. He's now the voice of Alabama basketball, has been for a while. He's been the, I guess, third guy in the booth for a bit with Alabama football. And I don't really know Eli. I have nothing negative to say at all. I mean, at all. I've met him a few times, but I can't say that I know him. I know Chris pretty well. And obviously I know some details from the last couple of years. And I wasn't surprised.
Yeah. It just brings out my true redneckiness here because I'm from Alabama. He also did NASCAR play. So I felt like Eli Gold was on every sports broadcaster was.
Well, in many ways he was. I mean, he was and is a legend. I was not surprised that they made the move. And like I said, I was more happy for my friend than I was anything, because I knew that was something that Chris has wanted to do for a long time, and I think Chris will be terrific at it. And I mean,
yeah, he's good. I like
nobody bleeds Alabama more than Chris Stewart does.
Roll Tide Willie would like to have a word.
Well, that's true. Roll Tide Willie might bleed it just as much as Chris does.
Don't give piss about nothing but the Tide. That shit makes me laugh.
I grew up an Alabama fan? Did you know that?
I did know that.
Both of my parents have degrees from Alabama.
Hey, nobody's perfect, Neal. Nobody's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's perfect. All right. Let's move on.
Spent the first 3 years of my life in Tuscaloosa.
You know what? I lost my hair when I was in Tuscaloosa. You don't have any hair. It may be something in the water.
Maybe.
Go down Rice Mine Road. Might be something on the water.
That 71, 72 season stressed me out?
Yeah.
Set the tone?
It set the tone for the rest of them. All right, Neal. Speaking of, I know you probably talked about this. I haven't had a chance to listen to your show today or yesterday. I've been busy. But the new playoff format was approved. Was that right? Yesterday it was approved or the day before yester's
I lose track of days.
Sometime between our last show and this show.
This week.
They have gone to the shocker. I'm really confused why people are confused about this.
Mm-hmm.
They go, we're going to the 5 highest conference champions plus the 7. And people are complaining and upset. I'm like, wait a minute. Like that guy, I don't understand why people are upset, because there's 4 conferences now instead of 5, 4 Power 4 conferences instead of 5. So it basically opened up another at-large spot. So for the big boys is what it did. But here's where I'm going to go with this. And this is what I want to talk about. I went back. I was like, okay, I want to see who would have been in the playoffs, based off this format. And I kind of looked at some of the final college football playoff rankings last year. I was surprised when I saw this. And I know this is probably where you're going to go in this discussion. Did you know that you take the top 13 teams in the final rankings of the college football playoff as they pick the bowl games and stuff? Did you know that 12 of the 13 teams would now be in the Big Ten and SEC? 12 of the top 13 teams in the final college football playoff rankings last year are going to be in the Big Ten or the SEC this year.
Yes, I did know that.
The only outlier was Florida State.
Yes.
Okay, you get all the way to,
because you get Texas, Washington, Oregon.
It was LSU was 12.
Yeah.
Ole Miss,
Missouri,
was in there.
Alabama, Georgia,
Ohio State, Penn State.
Yeah, Michigan. Mm-hmm.
So 12 of the top 13 were in the Big Ten SEC.
Yeah.
All right. So my question is kind of this is now that all those 12 of the 13 are now in the Big Ten and the SEC, they're in the same league. Are they going to end up cannibalizing themselves? Like in the current format, before we break off and talk about the Big Ten SEC Alliance stuff.
Uh-huh.
All right. Are they going to cannibalize themselves and cost themselves some teams some playoffs? Because
a little bit.
You know, does that make sense? What I'm trying to say?
I'm of the opinion that so they're going to go to 14 in 2026. But you're talking about these next 2 years. I think 4 SEC teams are going to make it every year, sometimes 5. I think 4 Big Ten teams are going to make it every year. You'll have your ACC, your Big 12, your Group of 5, and then somebody.
Because if you look at it, like if you looked at it based on what the conferences are going to be, you would go all the way to Arizona at 14 would have been the Big 12 champ.
Yeah.
All right. And then you go all the way to 20-something, which was been Liberty for the Conference USA champ.
Yeah.
All right. So that's going to just essentially mean that you would have to technically be in the top 10 to get in.
Yeah, I think any SEC team that goes 10-2 is getting in.
Yeah.
I think any Big Ten team that goes 10-2 is probably getting in because they won't have the divisions anymore where you can say, well, that division that Iowa's in sucks. If you go 10-2 in the Big Ten, you're going to get in. If you go 10-2 or better in the SEC, you're going to get in. I won't be surprised when there's an occasional 9-3 who slips in.
In those 2 conferences only.
Yeah, in those 2. Yes, absolutely. And I just think there's going to be one ACC team, one Big 12 team. I mean, if you told me that there was a year where the SEC had a bunch of 3-loss teams and maybe a 0-loss team and a 1-loss team and then a bunch of 3-loss teams, that the ACC stole a second bid or the Big 12 stole a second bid, sure. But as a whole, and see, here's the thing. This is why I'm having a hard time, like, this isn't directed at you, just in general, like getting super geeked up about the whole 12-team thing because it's only going to last 2 years. They're either going to 14 or 16 in 2026, or they're going to go to an alliance.
Yeah, or it's going to be the Big Ten and the SEC.
Because the 2 choices for everybody else is, look, you want a seat at the table? Fine. Sit down there at the end of the table, have a hot dog, and shut up. Or you can fight, and we're going to kill you. You pick. You're not sitting up at the head end of the table where all the adults drink bourbon and drink wine and talk about gossip. Nope. You're down there at the end. But you can sit at the table, and we'll give you a seat, and we'll give you some chicken tenders, and shut the hell up.
Are they microwave or are they Chick-fil-A?
I mean, whatever. Maybe it's Thanksgiving. Maybe you'll get some leftover Chick-fil-A that they bought the day before.
You know, my man Noxie, he doesn't need anything but chicken fingers.
I'm aware. And he's very picky.
It's either fine dining is Chick-fil-A nuggets.
Yeah.
Normal dining is Tyson microwave nuggets.
Gotcha.
So which one is it?
Probably the Tyson. But you can have a nice plate.
Okay.
They'll put it on the nice china.
Get some Doritos to go with it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I mean, that's the deal. So it's why people are like, what do you think is going to happen? I'm like, they're going to 14 teams or 16 teams. And the SEC is going to get 5, and the Big Ten's going to get 5, and the rest of you guys are going to get a crumb here and there. Shut up. If you don't like it and you want to bitch about it, cool. Go away. We'll just have our alliance, which is kind of what we're doing anyway, and we'll just determine the thing amongst ourselves. And I think that's where ultimately it heads in one of those 2 directions. And I think you can listen to Sankey and others, and that's essentially what they're saying in diplomatic terms.
Yeah, so the you had a pop up over there. I don't know if that means anything to you. I can't read it.
Oh, it does. Fine.
Okay. The weird thing is this: is if it stays in this current format, or how long, like teams like Florida State, right? They got this, or Clemson, or these teams that are trying to get into the SEC and to get a part of the new deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like part of you wants to go, man, I kind of want to stay. I kind of want to stay over here and get that automatic bid. And then, I mean, because how many teams, if you're getting an automatic bid, how many teams does Florida State realistically have to beat every year to get in?
Well, not many. The problem for Florida State, the reason that they want out is it's not about the playoff.
Financials.
It's about the money.
Right.
The money difference is about to be so stark,
Yeah.
so dramatic that
I get
they simply can't afford to play that game.
But from a financial standpoint, they go, man, look, all we got to do is beat Clemson and Miami and North Carolina. We got to beat 3 teams and we're in.
Yeah.
You know, and then as opposed to the SEC is talking about going to 9 conference games, right?
They are going to 9.
And that adds an automatic loss. So that goes
Sure.
back. And so I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. Long story short is it was a good day to be in the Big 12. If you're a Big 12 team, that was a good day to be you, because if you look at the teams, I mean, look, everybody's leaving. It's a good day to be Oklahoma State. It's a good day to be Kansas State. Good day to be Arizona. Good day to be Utah.
Yeah.
It's going to be good for those teams that, I mean, they shrink the amount of people that they have to beat to get in the playoffs.
Sure. They'll get one bid.
You get one bid.
The pressure in that league will be screw up one time and you're done.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
it'll be pressure. It'll be playoff every week.
Yeah.
Every single week.
Yeah.
And conference play anyway.
I want to tell you real quick that we're brought to you about Factor. Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals make eating better every day easy. Wherever tomorrow takes you, be ready with pre-prepared, chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. You'll have more than 35 options a week to choose from, including keto, calorie smart, vegan, plus veggie, and more. And there's even more to enjoy with more than 55 nutrition-packed add-ons that help make your weekly meal planning even more delicious. What are you waiting for? Get started today. Have a feel-good week of meals ready to go. 2-minute meals, snacks, smoothies, and more. You can sign up and save. They've done the math. Factor is less expensive than takeout. Every meal is dietitian approved to be nutritious and delicious. It's the perfect solution if you're looking for fast, upscale options done easily. They're flexible for your schedule. At Factor, you can get as much or as little as you need by choosing anywhere from 6 to 18 meals per week. Plus, you can pause or reschedule your deliveries anytime. No prep, no mess meals. Factor meals are 100% ready to heat and eat, so there's no prepping, cooking, or cleanup needed. Head to factormeals.com/MPW50 and use the code MPW50 to get 50% off. That's code MPW50 at factormeals.com/MPW50 to get 50% off.
All right. There were some preliminary reports jumping the gun a little bit yesterday, because, you know, we gotta be first, not right these days in social media.
Yes.
And there was a many of them that said Dell McGee to be the next head coach at Georgia State. A lot of preliminary reports that may end up being 100% accurate. And to be honest with you, that would be where I am leaning. I would be extremely strongly leaning. But that was preliminary. I think he's going there today to quote unquote interview today, but they're still talking to other candidates. There had not been, as of like 9:30 this morning, had not been a formal offer. So that was a little bit premature because, hey, we got to be first to click the button. Let's don't be right. Let's just hear, hey, we're probably going to do this.
Yep.
Let's break the news.
Yep. Let's even think it's going to happen and guess that it will, so that when it does, we can say that we reported it first.
And that will happen.
Yes.
I fully expect this to come to fruition. Fully expect it. Just saying that.
Okay.
But, I mean.
But it hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't happened yet. And it may be happening while we're talking, but it hasn't happened yet.
I'll call Dell real quick.
His son actually signed at Georgia State this past year.
Okay.
Dell McGee is the running backs coach at Georgia. Good people.
He used to coach at Tennessee, right?
No.
Okay.
He was at where was he before? He was at Georgia Southern. Before he was at Georgia.
Okay. I got him confused with somebody else.
But I've known Dell for, I don't know, 10, 12, 15 years. He used to be the head coach at Carver Columbus High School, and that was in my recruiting area back in the day when I was at Arkansas State. He was a high school coach, then got to college. Good dude. And my running thing with him is that he, if you remember, if you're an Auburn, Grimes should remember this. This may be before Grimes' time. In like 94, Dell McGee was in the secondary at Auburn that had the 4 picks against LSU in the fourth quarter that won the game. He was one of the DBs. So we always talk about that. That was one of the most interesting finishes to a game. I think Jamie Howard was the quarterback.
That's right.
That his son is now.
His son Walker's one of the backups at Ole Miss.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, God, we're getting old.
Yes.
So, but I fully expect that to happen there, which will be the second offensive assistant that Kirby would have lost in the last week and a half. Lost his receivers coach to the Buccaneers. All right. I had to talk about this. This ball. All right. Johnny Manziel goes on Shannon Sharp's podcast
Mm-hmm.
And I read like 3 stories about it this morning about this particular thing that he said on the podcast about that his dad, he didn't, but his dad, they were talking about NIL and recruiting and all that stuff. And he was talking about his dad went back and met with Kevin Sumlin and asked for $3 million for his son to come back to Texas A&M for the last 2 years.
So this would be after the Heisman year.
Yeah, this has been after his last year.
After the second year, okay.
Okay. I call D1 major bullshit. Like, I'm sure people
That he asked for it?
Not that he asked for it. He didn't ask for $3 million. He didn't. Okay? There's no way. One is, I know the world we're in now where we see the amount of money and things like that. Allegedly, things were not that expensive back then.
I think you're safe on the...
Almost. Not really. I still have a business.
But I mean, I'm saying from things in the...
Allegedly, things were a hell of a lot cheaper back then. You could go buy you a Heisman Trophy for $200,000 back in those days. Okay, so save me the $3 million bullshit. One, if you were about that kind of money, you're about to be a number one. Was he the number one pick?
No, he was a first round.
Round pick. $3 million.
He went. Did he go first round? He went late
No,
first round.
He went
right?
first round. You can look it up. I can't see, so you can look it up. But with this new computer over here. But we got to cut out the $3 million bullshit. That did not happen. You don't go to a coach and sit down and ask the coach for $3 million. That's complete, utter bullshit. Anyway, he was a first-round pick.
He was the 22nd overall pick.
He got more money than that signing. So the money was coming in the NFL before then. So there's no way that he went and asked for less money than he was going to go make in the NFL. And that's unheard of. That did not happen. There's no way. There's probably some truth to that at some point in time, but that's complete bullshit. I call bullshit on that.
Okay.
I just, I like he's entertaining. I like listening to him, the whole deal. But he was a little off in that documentary about, goes that Florida documentary, whatever the hell it was. So some documentary I watched him on not too long ago. Oh, he's got a documentary on Netflix or some shit.
Yeah.
That ain't there's probably some half truths to that. Because, and I'm basing this off this. I know a truth on one of the stories that he told in Netflix that he didn't tell the truth on that one either. So he's kind of stretching things to make the story better. Instead of
stunned.
Yeah, stunned. But there's probably some half truths. There's probably some half truths in this, but I know some shit on that documentary. I know for a fact, I get it, that he made some shit up on that one too. So I call bullshit on that. All right. This one came up today. I don't want to talk about it. I don't understand it. I think we can't see the forest as administrations in college. I don't think sometimes, this is going to shock you, they can't see the forest because the trees are in the way.
Sure. As I've said many times, just because someone has a title doesn't mean they're smart.
I need some help understanding this. Okay, so let's say you have and this happens a lot, and it happened again in the last couple of days, and then I saw it spurred me to put this down to talk about, because we have not talked about this on the show before. When a coach is on the hot seat, okay, he's got to win next year.
What league are we talking about?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Let's talk SEC since we got most SEC fans, okay?
Okay.
A coach is on the hot seat. We all know he's got to win. So he's gotten his extra year where he's coaching for your team this year. All of a sudden, this happens all the time in every league, okay? So this isn't just an SEC issue. This happens everywhere. At this time of the year and moving forward, the athletic departments start squeezing and pulling resources, financial resources, away from said coach. Okay, so where he had, let's call it, he had $900,000 in his recruiting budget. Hey, not this year, boss. We're going to give you $500,000. You start pulling resources away from him. Hey, look, I know that guy just left, and we paid him $1 million. But hey, look, you can go hire a coach, but look, you're only going to pay him $400,000.
They're preparing for the transition.
Okay, so they start pulling back all these resources. Well, my point is which is kind of a point that you've brought up before on something else. If you already know you're going to move on, hell, it's cheaper to fire the guy than start pulling away resources because you're giving him no chance to succeed. And so in the
100%.
meantime, you're paying all these people this money, and then you got to hit the restart button 12 months later anyway. Like, I don't understand. If you've decided, hey, we're going to give you another year, keep giving them the resources to allow the guy to give him a chance to be successful. But if you get to the point where you're going to start pulling resources away to try to put them away for a rainy day, it's already over.
Yes.
What are we doing?
I can't defend it. Won't defend it. What they're doing is they're punting on the inevitable. And then you make an emotional decision. I'm going to give my guy another year. And 2-3 months in, you realize I shouldn't have done it. I should have fired him. So now I'm going to hang him out to dry. I'm going to save money. I'm going to start preparing. No, you're not saving any money. You're just moving money. Again, just because someone has a title doesn't mean they're smart. Just because someone has a title doesn't mean that they make good, rational decisions. In college athletics, so many times the decision about whether to fire or not to fire is emotional, and egos are tied to it. The AD hired a coach. He doesn't want to, quote, admit that it was a bad hire. It wasn't necessarily a bad hire. It just didn't work. You date a girl. It's not that she's a horrible person or that you're a horrible person. It just didn't work. You look up 10 years later and she's married some guy and she's doing great and you're married and doing great. Not because you weren't bad people. It didn't work. It didn't fit. That happens in coaching. I mean, I'll use Billy Napier as an example.
He's not it, by the way. Somebody said that. But this is not Florida.
But I'll use Billy Napier as an example. Look at the job that he did at Louisiana Lafayette.
Mm-hmm.
If it ends up not working at Florida, it's not because he's a bad coach. It's not because Florida's a bad program. Now, they're way behind on NIL. It's just that in this moment in time, it didn't fit. It didn't work. That's hard to predict. If it were easy to predict, like it was for me when I said Ole Miss should hire Lane Kiffin twice because I just knew it would work. If it was easy to predict, everybody would get it right. People get it wrong. They get it wrong all the time. But once you realize or you've made the decision that, hey, I don't think it's going to work with Coach Jones, Coach Smith, Coach Patterson. I don't think it's going to work. You should move on. And you should own it right there, and you should make the move. You should get it done. You should do it because every day from that point forward, if in the back of your mind you've admitted that to yourself that, hey, as an AD, as a booster, as a president, whatever, this isn't our guy. You're never going to give him a full shot. You're never going to go all in, full-throated, here's my guy. And that happens.
And here's another thing. I'm going to give you the catch-22 on this, okay? Is like last year, okay? This happened to a coach last year that I know. And guess what happened? He went out and won.
Sure.
And guess what happened? He got a new contract.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what the problem was? Is they pulled back on him for that year. So he's in a deficit. He's got to crawl himself back out of a hole.
Right.
And now you set him up for failure. You just signed him to a new contract, but you're starting him on the ground floor resource-wise. And it just makes no sense to me. So, and then Grind says, well, the Harsin thing, that Auburn is that's not factual. So because you hold back on resources doesn't mean like they're putting it in some kind of escrow for the next head coach to come here and blow. No, that money goes other places. Okay. I've done athletic budgets a long time. Okay. Go pull an athletic budget. See what they did with that money. It finds a way to get spent.
Oh, of course.
It gets spent in other places.
No, when you make the decision that, hey, this guy's not my guy, you should go ahead and bite the bullet.
Yeah, bite the bullet and move on.
There's nowhere to go. It's going to be hard, and there's always a chance. And I think, like, I can think of one example this year where they didn't do it because I think they felt like they couldn't get the replacement that they want. And so all you've done is that you've just punted it down the road, and maybe it works, and you don't have to. More likely it doesn't work, and you spend a year going, we should have done it.
Yeah.
And now you make it harder for the next guy.
Yeah.
Because you build more losing in. You lose more fans. You lose more boosters. So now the job to climb out of the hole is harder than it would have been a year earlier.
Yeah. It's just I don't get it. But just trying to bring a little common sense. All right. In the interest of time here, I'm gonna skip over this LSU thing. All right.
We both called it.
We both called
Tigers, baby.
We'll hit it.
And how about my
extremely
Gators?
quick.
My Gators almost got it done last night.
Dude, your Gators had the Criteria Club sweating last night.
My Gators are playing some pretty good basketball.
They couldn't, it was one of those deals I was like, okay, because Alabama was scoring, and they were literally just doing what they wanted to on the offensive end, and I was like, all right, just get a stop. And they were down 10. I was like, okay. I started looking at the clock. I was like, they're down 10. All right, we need what? Let's get like 5 stops in the next 10 minutes. They could not stop them. But anyway, they played well. All right, the only thing I'm going to say about LSU basketball is we called it. We said bye. I had not looked at their upcoming schedule and things. Dude, they have a low-key chance here. All right, look, they're 6-7 in the league, okay? 6-7 in the league. They just beat Kentucky. They have Mississippi State and Georgia coming to Baton Rouge in the next 2 games, okay?
Yeah.
They got to go on the road to Vandy.
Mm-hmm.
Got to go on the road to Arkansas.
One of those is a guaranteed and one's a likely win.
And then come home and play Missouri.
It's a W. Oh, they could win out.
They could win out. All right, so
Yeah.
now let me ask you a question. If they're 11-7, even though they're 14-12 right now, they're 11-7 in the league, and that would put them at 19-12 overall. Does that get them in? 11-7 in the SEC, 19-12 overall. They're like 80 something in the net right now.
Yeah, their net would be upper 60s. It'd be iffy.
That would be. They have a chance, man. They have a chance. They play well. Somebody in the Criteria Club yesterday took, on top of the Criteria Club bet, took LSU money line. They got paid. So congrats to, I think it was like OM Grizzly or something like that. He did it. Good for you, dog. I was happy for you.
Is this a spring game? 8-0 in the first? Somebody got shelled.
Somebody's throwing a lot of fastballs, flat ones too.
Yeah.
All right. I got to talk about this. All right, my 10 full hat was full. This is where the podcast gets fun for all you new people. My 10 full hat was full freaking on this morning, man.
Yeah, I know you and many others were very conspiratorial today.
I've gotten like that. I wonder why. I've gotten like
You
that.
saying me?
No, you probably influenced me. No, I'm just kidding. So I wake up. My wife wakes up really early.
You gotten your booster yet?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, good.
My wife wakes me up, and I knew the day was going to be off kilter a little bit when she started quoting Barack Obama at 5:45 a.m. this morning. I was like, I had to have my coffee. I was very confused on what she was talking about. She's like, he said this is how it was all going to start. And so I turned on the
Obama
news.
said this is how all of what's going to start.
I don't know. I didn't ask questions. I just I moved on about my day, Neal.
Okay.
I've learned to deal with all this. All right, so
all right.
I turn on the news, and they're like, oh, there's 38,000 AT&T customers, or 38,000 cell phones that are out and all that stuff. And then Brock, my son, wakes up. He's my 16-year-old. He wakes up. He's like, yeah, my phone's not working. And they were saying, it's in Atlanta, it's in Houston, and Chicago, and all over, the big cities. I was like, well, damn. I was like, why are we one of them? And then I see your deal this morning. I see like half your subscribers are out. I'm like, this is some bullshit. 38,000, y'all can kiss my ass. There's a lot more than 38,000. And so then you start seeing stuff on the internet. Oh, solar flares. Now they're blaming it on solar flares. Well, I do have a doctorate in common sense, and I can hit the old Google machine. I mean, I can use it.
Yeah.
Well, the solar flares are on the other side of the freaking planet. They didn't even hit this area. So it is solar flares. So what are you not telling me? I called bullshit. And then AT&T, nobody could give an answer. They couldn't tell you what happened.
No.
We can't tell you what happened.
That's like airlines.
Yeah.
Once you're in the airport, you're hostage, man. You're not going to get information.
Yeah, man. I think we had a balloon fly over or something. I had another one of those.
So you think this was a trial, maybe on the part of the Chinese to see how easy it would be to knock us offline?
If you seriously ask me, 100%, being dead serious, I honestly believe. I don't know if it's China, whoever. I do believe somebody. It could be domestic. I don't know. I think somebody got in the system and played to test some things out.
Well.
And you should have heard me trying to explain to my kids. I was like, man, this is awesome. We're going back to like 88, man. We're going to have landlines. I mean, if you think about it, though, like I was going through things in my head as a parent. I can get on this phone. I can tell you within 3 feet where my kids are at all times.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, my parents kicked me. I'm 7 years old, boss. They kick you out of the house at 7 years old. They kick you out.
I know.
I'll see you when the street lights come on. Now, if the street light comes on and your ass sitting in the house, guess what you're getting? The back door is going to open up, and mama's yelling from the porch, and you got 30 seconds. You better be within that voice.
Campbell went to Paris back in December to visit one of her friends from school who was working there.
Yeah.
She and a couple of her other friends flew out there and spent a week. And it was I laughed a couple of times because I could pull up on my app, and it would tell me precisely where she was in Paris, France, not Texas, France
or Tennessee.
And I would think back to like when I was in high school. I left the house and I was just gone. I mean, I came back when I came back. I knew
you had a curfew and your ass better be there.
I knew my ass was supposed to be home by midnight, but at 11:38, my parents didn't know where I was.
Oh, those were good old days, man.
I mean, they really were.
You didn't have social media. You didn't have nobody busting you up with.
Now, if I was 12:02, there was a problem.
Oh yeah, that was your ass.
But if I was 11:58, there was no problem, and wasn't a whole lot of questions.
No. I remember, so I can't remember what time my curfew was. I think it was at I don't know. I think it was midnight. I don't remember. But in the summertime, I played baseball and all my buddies lived in Jacksonville, which is it was like 20 minutes from the house. I would call the house and let my mother know that I was on my way home because I may be running 5 minutes late. You better call before curfew and say, I'm on my way. I'll be there at whatever time.
I'm running late.
Run a little bit late.
Yep,
but,
sure.
Do you find it tinfoil hat? Do you find it interesting that all this happened? And you know what else happened today?
No.
We went to the moon for the first time since Apollo today, and nobody's covering it. It's not even barely got 5 seconds of time on the news.
Sent what to the moon? Just a ship?
We sent the first a ship that actually landed on the moon.
But not a
manned ship.
Mission.
But the first time since Apollo.
You know my big prediction for 2024.
All right, what is it?
No, I'm not going to say it out loud because
Why? This is a podcast. This is what we do.
I think there will be a chaotic, especially if the polling data, which is out recently, becomes a trend.
Okay, I don't know which one it is, but
the polling data right now has Trump winning.
I prefer not to know. I'll just let it happen.
And for the record, I was for DeSantis. Don't do the Trump thing. I'm not MAGA. I'm not that dude. I would prefer that we go with a younger guy. To me, it's an indictment on our country that our choice is Trump and Biden. I mean, two guys that one's going.
It's not too late, McCready Siskey, 2024.
Think about this for a minute. If Donald Trump is reelected to a second term, he will be 82 when that term ends. If Joe Biden is elected to a second term, reelected, the current president, he will be 86 years old when that term ends. I mean, look, my parents are Biden's age. And my parents would tell you this. There is not a chance in hell that they would have the physical energy. Now, we're not even talking about his faculties.
Right.
The physical energy to truly handle the schedule that you would throw at the leader of the free world, regardless of party affiliation. Okay? Not a chance. So what are we doing? I mean, why can't we? What are we doing? I mean, I was for DeSantis from minute one. But my prediction is,
all right,
if the polling data holds and the Democrats can't figure out a way to get Biden off the ballot, and right now they can't, because they have issues with Kamala Harris. And what do you do? How do you handle if Biden's not on the ticket? How do you handle her not being at the top of the ticket? Because the way that party works, it's her turn.
Okay.
You have a lot of identity politics. How do you do all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
If the closer it gets to November, with the polling data showing that Trump's got a legitimate shot, and nobody can argue right now that if you look at the polling data, Trump has a legitimate shot.
Okay.
Not saying he's going to win, but me, for example, 2 months ago, I would have told you Trump can't win. He has no chance. Now I'm like, yeah, he's got a chance. Got a puncher's chance. And so my prediction, something chaotic happens. I don't know how it happens, but something crazy happens.
Aliens showing up?
That wouldn't even surprise me. Like if an alien landed on the White House lawn right now, you'd be like, oh, some bitch, there they are. Look at that. I mean, would that even surprise you?
Nothing surprises
I mean, if
me
an
anymore. Really,
alien came down,
nothing
an
surprises.
8-foot alien came down with a big green head, stood on the White House lawn and said, "What's up?"
Hey, long as we're still recruiting and quick use roll it, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I've there's a part of me I've thought ahead to the fall, and it's just what a wild scene. I don't know. I put nothing past any government entity. Nothing.
Well, the AT&T thing cost us a guest today. We were supposed to have a sitting head coach on the show today, but we're having some cell phone issues where he's located, and we were having a tough time exchanging messages.
Yeah.
So
okay.
We'll get him on shortly. We were supposed to have a guest today. All right. Got two things. We got one more thing. We'll go life advice. All right, Neal. Criteria Club.
You had a big day.
Big day yesterday.
Big day.
Criteria Club this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Criteria Club games are 18-4. Last night went 7-2 in 9 games. The 2 losses were Winthrop and South Carolina Upstate, so probably not many people had them tickets. Everybody else pretty much won. It was a good day, and so today is one of those days as well. So today is what makes you appreciate Criteria Club. Okay. Today's the day.
Today's the day.
There are 15 games inside Criteria Club today.
Wow.
15 games. And I'm talking about, like, there was some teams I've never heard of, nor could I pronounce. But here's where we're going with the official play for Criteria Club today. Right. I got a 6-teamer.
All right.
We're going with Eastern Kentucky.
The Colonels.
Stetson.
Is that the Hatters?
I believe so. UT Arlington. The California Bears.
UT Arlington is the...
They're
red and
I've
blue.
been there.
Yeah.
They used to be in the Southland 100 years ago.
Yeah.
The Cal Bears, Santa Clara, and UC Irvine.
All right.
Eastern Kentucky, Stetson, UT Arlington, the Cal Golden Bears, Santa Clara, and UC Irvine. That will pay you plus 285.
Okay.
I like all those games. I do. So, and then the last part I wanted to address this. Got a ton of comments on TikTok about this. Asking the last couple of days. So I wanted to, and I've had some questions on your board about it, asking about round robin parlays. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, Neal may not know what a round robin parlay is.
No clue.
So if you would take all of the Criteria Club or whichever ones you pick, and you can say, I want all combinations of these in a 3-team or 4-team, and you build a bunch of different parlays. All right, and there is someone on your board that messaged this morning and said he's up 19 units in the last week doing round robin parlays. So it's very profitable to do it that way. However, I don't do it. I wouldn't recommend the normal gambler doing it because the amount of money you have to wager to do that. So you could say, hey, I'm doing $10 parlays. Well, you may have, 25 different combinations. So you may have a $250 investment, if that makes sense. So
it does.
I would be very careful about that. Make sure you have a large bankroll before you do that, and you're not worried if you lose anything because it's a big investment. All right, Neal, you know what time it is?
It is time for Life Advice. It's presented by Cole Walters of State Farm Insurance. Cole Walters is licensed in auto, home, life, health, business, and pet insurance for the whole state of Georgia. Contact Cole at 706-525-7850. You can also find more about Cole and his agency at ColeWaltersInsurance.com. It's on the screen, ColeWaltersInsurance.com, ColeWalters Insurance.com. All right, we got some requests for some life advice. Young man says, so I've been in this off and on relationship for just about 2 years, and we're currently still broken up and most likely will never date again, but we still talk 24/7 with full and thoughtful conversations about our interest, and I consider us close friends, but through a phone, even though we live 30 minutes away and I haven't seen her in almost 6 months. You with me so far?
I'm with you.
I'm 23. She's 21. And I mean this respectfully when I say she lets her parents make a lot of decisions for her instead of her wants and needs and fear of them cutting her off. And they don't view me in a favorable light solely because we've broken up a couple of times. None of the breakups have been nasty. They've been completely mutual. I've turned down multiple people and dates in hopes of us getting back together, even when I know we won't. And when I bring up giving up on it to her, she tells me she's going to talk to her parents about it, likely just to keep me around longer with no intentions of talking to them. Okay, I got it. I've realized in the last couple of weeks, she's not even cat hot or snake hot, as y'all would say, to keep fighting for this. I'd love and appreciate y'all's advice on how to break this connection with this person when they've been in my life the last 2 years, but at the same time hasn't really been here either. Thanks again. Love listening to y'all.
Are you going to go ahead and go?
Go for it. This is easy.
Yeah, this is easy for me. It's probably not what you want to hear, but that's not what we're here for, Neal. You don't come to this podcast for us to tell you what you want to hear.
Of course not.
All right?
Right. I mean,
nothing we do is about rose-colored glasses telling you what you want to hear.
I mean, look, I respect your feelings, but at the same time, I'm not afraid to hurt them.
That's right.
Okay? I mean, if you're going to come to me for advice, it's going to be like I'm gonna talk to you like I would talk to one of my kids.
That's right. So here's what I would suggest.
And sadly, this person is young enough to be one of our kids.
Yes.
So I can do this well.
Even scarier. All right, so here we go. So any kind of future relationship that you want to develop, this is not the girl. Mm-mm. You do not want to start a future based on this base, a foundation. It's like a house. Okay, I'm building a house.
Yes.
Do you know what the most important thing is when you're building a house?
The foundation.
The foundation.
Because if there's cracks in the foundation, it doesn't matter how nice the rest of it looks.
It doesn't matter how pretty and how big and glorious it is.
It's always in peril.
It's always in peril.
Yep.
Well, this one doesn't have a cracked foundation, Neal.
It doesn't even have
a foundation.
They just put down some dirt.
They threw it on the top of the dirt. They threw a nice $200,000 house on a pile of dirt.
And sometimes it looks good when the weather's perfect and everything's great. But man, when the wind blows,
when the weather comes, Neal,
it's going to get ugly.
Rain starts.
God forbid a tornado.
Tornado? Oh yeah, it's not surviving. So my point is this is a rough foundation to start a relationship on. Considering she only lives 30 minutes away and you haven't seen her in 6 months, I could have stopped there.
Right there.
And I didn't even have to get to the snake hot, cat hots.
Exactly.
But that's like the cherry on top of the whipped cream. That's like the cherry on top. You know, beside it would just be the whipped cream with no cherry, but that is the actual cherry on top.
Yeah.
There's actually no reason here to continue this. I know it sucks, but that's what life and love is things suck. Apparently he has feelings for her because he talks to her all the time. He
very clearly has feelings for her.
My advice, it's not going to be fun. My advice is to immediately cease communication and end things and break away. It's going to be hard for a couple of weeks, but you can't, by continuing to call and talk to her, it makes it worse because you're
ripping the Band-Aid off.
Look, we've all been there. Okay. Every male. And now that I see our analytics on TikTok, we're 90-10. By the way, so I know 90% of the people listening to this right now have been through this.
You know, I'm shocked that we're not bigger with the female.
We were 90-15. I think the gambling stuff on TikTok's kind of pumped it up. Yeah. Okay. So we were 85-15. All right, so here we go.
Because it just feels like guys as attractive as us really would have.
I'm shocked.
Would have groupies.
I know.
Right?
I figured they'd be beating down my door by now, but they're not.
I know. It's crazy.
Crazy. All right, so when you go to the bar, Neal, when you were younger, we know you haven't done this in a while, but we've all been there. It's that they're a 2 at 10 and they're a 10 at 2. Okay? When you go to the bar, you have these great expectations of what the night's going to bring. And you're looking at those smoking hot chicks and you're like, I'm going to get that one. And you go and you spit your game. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
You have a couple more drinks and you've reached the point where, by God, I'm leaving with somebody. And all of a sudden, you look over in the corner, and there's another person of the opposite sex, whatever your thing is,
right?
He, she, it, and it looks like it got hit with an ugly stick.
Yeah,
just fell out the ugly tree and just hit every branch on the way down.
It's horrible.
And you're like, she's all right. You start talking yourself into taking that one home.
Where are you going with this?
Well, this is where I feel like my man's at right now.
Okay.
He's trying to talk himself into staying with this girl.
Okay.
hey, dude, you struck out. It's okay. We've all been there.
See, I think it's more complicated than that. He likes her.
I get it, but
he
he's got
likes her. But you just got to acknowledge that two things. One, this is not the one. And in the event that she is the one, it's not the one now. So you got to move on. You got to let it go. You got to end it. I would suggest ending it appropriately. I would say, hey.
And permanently.
And I would do it in person, and I would do it permanently. I would say, look, I'm not going to call you. I'm asking you not to call me. And if she continues to, you should block her number. You need to leave her alone. And that means that if you find out she's dating some guy, you don't get all jealous and freaked out.
It's over.
No, just move on. Let it go. And if somewhere down the road, and when I say down the road, I mean like, dude, 5 years from now, this circles back, well, then maybe you revisit it. The odds are overwhelming that you will
be gone,
look
on
back,
something else.
You'll look back in 6 months and go, that was the greatest thing I ever did.
Yeah.
Because this is causing you angst and stress. And she's 21, which is awfully young, frankly. I have a 21-year-old. Okay. Mm-hmm. She's not ready for a serious long-term relationship. You're worried about her parents. Well, at 21, her parents are probably a big part of her life. There's just a lot of stuff here. You're not ready for this. Move along. When your friends suggest other dates, you should go on them. It's time to.
Yeah, it's time to go.
It's time to cut that cord. But look, that means at 2 a.m. when you do strike out at the bar, that's not the call you make.
Nope. No drunk text.
You gotta have more discipline. And if you can't, then you need to throw her.
Hey, you up? None of that.
No, you need to throw her stuff off your phone so that you can't contact her.
Yeah, I think it needs to be a cold break. I mean, it sucks. It's going to stink, but it needs to happen. That'll be my advice. Thank you, Cole Walters.
Yeah, appreciate the request. Thanks for sending it out there. Anybody that ever wants a little tough love from your guys here, send us.
It's not always tough love.
Not always.
We helped our guy Austin out.
We did. We've helped a lot of people.
We've developed snake hot and cat hot, and we've got new terminology.
And in this situation, I don't care if she's super snake hot. It's just not worth the trouble.
No, that's the other thing. That's when it didn't even matter. This does not even. She could be the hottest girl on the planet, and it's not worth it because if she's not. You're 30 minutes away, and you haven't seen the girl in 6 months. I mean, what are we doing?
And if you're describing this accurately, she's probably going to do some game playing once you do this.
Oh, I 100% expect that.
So that you're going to have to prepare for that and have some discipline.
Hit the block button. That's all I got today, boss.
That does it for this edition of McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. Don't forget, Rain has 300 milligrams of natural caffeine, BCAAs, electrolytes, zero sugar. It's got what you need to push the limits and achieve your goals. So check them out on Instagram at Rain Body Fuel to learn more. Hope everybody has an awesome weekend. We'll be back with you on Monday. What's that?
In the Cooper Chevrolet chat, Our guy Hardman said, hey, I got my raise thanks to Life Advice.
Look at us.
Hardman, thanks for the update, bro. Congratulations.
Congratulations to Hardman. That's awesome.
How about that?
This is what we're here to help.
We're here to help.
That's what we are. And really, it's our show. Our show, people are like, what do those guys do? We help people.
We help people. I mean, we got criteria clubs, so we're helping.
You're making people money.
We got raises.
We've gotten Hardman a raise. We're helping this young man. Sometimes it's hard to walk away from a deal, but we're saying you just got to do it.
That's it, man. That's what we do.
That's what we help people.
Because at one point in time, we needed help.
Yeah. Yeah. So much help. But that's what we do.
That's what we do.
We're paying it back.
Hey, that's what we're doing.
So what we want you to do is go out in the world and pay it forward.
Pay it forward.
Because look, there's a lot of chaos in the world. If you can help somebody today, based on us helping other people,
their cell phone may be working. You may need to let them borrow your cell phone.
You might have to go in person.
Hey, talk to him in person. Hey, my man. Hey, he could have given an excuse here. Maybe the alien landed on top of the satellite and he can't use his cell phone to call her.
It's possible.
It's possible.
Anything's possible. That's what he should tell her. You know, remember that solar flare? It was the omen.
Yeah. The solar flare. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's the good Lord going, hey, look, I know you're having a tough time.
I'm gonna
fix this for you. Here comes a solar flare and some aliens at the cell phone tower, so you don't have to worry about talking to her for the next 6 months. So here, I'm gonna zap it for you. Maybe that's what maybe he has prayed maybe he prayed. He said, "Hey, look, Lord, please help me.
I need a big sign.
Yeah, help me. I need a sign. I need to move on." So he just zapped. He sent solar flares, aliens, and spaceships to the satellite.
You know how many teenagers today just completely melted down when they could not use their phones?
Oh.
Can you imagine how many like 16-year-olds just melted down?
So it works as long as you have Wi-Fi, right?
Right.
But it's when
if you're in your car driving.
So that's how I found out Brock's was messed up. I took him to school this morning, and he was like, "Snapchat's not working." I was like, "Oh boy,
oh no,
the end of the world, Snapchat." I mean,
you're gonna be all right.
You're gonna be okay. We're gonna be able to. I shouldn't be like that, but good God. And then, Cole. So we had two people at.
God said, "You know what? I'm sick of all you people. I'll show you. I'm turning Snapchat off.
I'll show you." We had two people at Quick U today. We had two of our employees had their phones zapped, and then Cole that does our social media.
Cole Catalano.
So I had to email Cole the clips for the TikTok post today. And he was like, "Hey, I gotta wait till I get here so I get a Wi-Fi signal." I was like, "Oh, you got zapped too? Hey, there's another one."
Yeah.
So I guess all 38,000 people listened to our show that got zapped. I call bullshit.
Yeah.
I call bullshit.
So they were like 30,000 people nationwide. I'm like, including like 4,000 on Rebel Grove. I don't think so, dude.
Yeah, man. I don't know.
I mean, that math doesn't really work.
Yeah,
I'm no mathematical genius, but.
See, what had happened was
when I plug that into the equation, it comes up wrong.
A plus Y plus X plus Z. Nope, it doesn't fit.
So only 30,000 and 4,000 of them subscribe to my site.
Yeah. I know 4,000 of the 30. Yeah,
no.
Either that or there's some debauchery going on. One, too.
Feels wrong.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get back with you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend. Talk to you soon. Bye.